Hi, this is Mark News from Plant Talk Radio. Thanks for subscribing and listening to our podcast, Your Gardening Questions from Plant Talk Radio. If you have a gardening question you'd like our host Fred Howard to answer, send him an email. The email address is fred@planttalkradio.com. Now for today's question. First off, this comes from Bruce, who is in Powell. He says, I have a lawn that's 30 years old. I replaced an area with turf-type tall fescue, but it doesn't match the rest of the lawn. How do I determine what grass that I have? I have a lot of moles, so taking a sample won't be a problem.
Yeah, that's probably very true.
Well, lawns in central Ohio, as well as most of the state, are a combination typically of Kentucky bluegrass, perennial ryegrass, fine fescue, and turf-type tall fescue. So it's usually not just one single type of grass. Occasionally, though, you will run into an all Kentucky bluegrass lawn, but over time, it tends to make a shift a little bit because most of the lawns really do better when they are a blend. And so he started out that way with the seed that was planted was a blend. So without getting down and looking at the individual grass plants and trying to figure out exactly what they are, which I could do, but it's hard to do that over the radio. But
Yeah.
My guess is it's probably a blend. And the turf-type tall fescue it tends to have the same texture as the bluegrass, very similar. The only thing that's going to be a lot different in texture is a fine fescue, which has a very small diameter blade. It's not very wide. It could be that if this is a shaded lawn and it's 30 years old and it's maybe shifted more towards the fine fescues that were maybe there to begin with. One of the things that happens, too, is when you put down new grass seed, the grass varieties that we have today are so much better than the ones that were around 30 years ago that a lot of times those areas will look darker green, and maybe even they'll look better than what the existing lawn looks like. But again, I would just maybe plant a blend. A lot of times a sun and shade blend will have at least three of those grasses together and go from there.
Now,
Fred, do you have a better way of answering that?
No, I really don't, actually. I agree with the blend. It's going to happen anyhow by nature. Bird droppings and wind and all the things that can scatter seeds of various things around. So when you start pure, that's going to be adulterated very shortly. I think then what he's probably getting, and Bruce, we don't know, but the chances are that the better looking is the tall type fescue.
I think that's probably right.
Yeah.
One thing that might work out. There's a new product from Scotts this year that I haven't had a chance to use yet. It's brand new this year, but it looks pretty interesting to me. It's actually called Thick Lawn. So it says thick with a apostrophe R lawn, and it's a 3-in-1 seed, fertilizer, and soil improver that you actually put down with a spreader. And it's designed to put onto a thin lawn. It's not really designed to maybe start a new lawn, but it's designed to put down into your thin lawn. You need to do some raking to expose some soil a little bit wherever you can, maybe some dethatching or whatever, and then you could put that down. But the point I want to make is it's designed to put over the whole lawn. It doesn't do patches.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So if you did that spring and fall over a period of time, you would probably begin to shift your lawn more towards one thing.
Now, Ashton, my thought as you were speaking is that I agree with. I didn't know of this product. Sounds good. What about in the spring where lawns are not as easily established just because of the seasonality and so on? What about slice seeding? What do you think of that?
Well, that can be a way to seed into an existing lawn,
okay.
and basically this is a piece of equipment that you would rent, and it actually plants the seed just in the top eighth of an inch, 16th of an inch, by making a little groove and putting the seed down. So after you may have seen this on a golf course or somewhere where the grass looks like it's growing in rows.
Yep.
and that's right when it first germinates, but then of course it fills in very nicely. So that is a way of planting into an existing lawn, especially if it's a larger lawn.
So you could use the 3-in-1 through a slice seeding process.
It's designed to go through the typical lawn spreader because it has the way it's blended together. That's the way it's designed to do. I think if you had a slit seeder, then I would just use regular seed.
Okay.
And the starter lawn food to go along with that.
Okay. But I agree with putting a blend down, as you mentioned, the various things, and then. I have had good luck with slice seeding in the past. I angered one guy somewhat desperately. He didn't want a lawn with rows of grass. And he was all over me. And I said, please be patient for another 3 or 4 weeks and you'll have a full lawn again, which was good.
Yes. Yeah, it does work out.
Hey, thanks again for listening to our podcast. Be sure to subscribe to our other podcasts as well, the Plant of the Week podcast and the Plant Talk Radio podcast, all on iTunes or your favorite podcast player. If you'd like to sponsor a daily podcast, contact us at fred@planttalkradio.com. To find out more about Fred Hauer and Plant Talk Radio, visit our website, planttalkradio.com.
Circle270media.com